Islam is not a religion of peace. Islam is fascist and it's violent, and we've had enough. Not just today, God bless our troops, we support our troops, but this is the end. It's the end. Enough's enough.
But today, President Obama framed the jihadist problem this way.
The United States is not at war with Islam. And this ideology is rejected by the vast majority of Muslims, who are the most frequent victims of terrorist attacks.
Joining us now from Washington, Ms. Laura Ingraham. On the heels of Boston, I think the world may be turning against the jihad after this London thing. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree, Bill. I mean, this was so shocking, obviously occurring in broad daylight. The 25-year-old young man who was murdered has a 2-year-old son, and he is being obviously remembered today in London as people being giving interviews to various London news outlets saying, you know, they're worried for their own safety, and they're concerned that they have a whole separate group of people in Britain who are not assimilated and who are prone to radicalization and prone to this jihadist sentiment. So people are very, very concerned. I talked to a couple of friends of mine in London today, and they said, I mean, it's all everybody can talk about.
Yeah, I think this is the turning point, because the United Kingdom has been very lenient with the Muslims. They let a lot of them in. As you rightly pointed out, most of them have not assimilated. They live in areas of London. They speak their home language. They have their home customs. They don't assimilate like American Muslims have here. In France, you have the same situation. And I think the world, the Western world, is now starting to say, you know what, as the guy said in London, and that's from a group that really is opposed to London, to Muslims, I should say, in London. I think there's going to be real violence there unless the British authorities really start to clamp down on these jihadists.
And Bill, remember a few years ago, Angela Merkel got a lot of kind of left-wing blowback when she said multiculturalism has failed, utterly failed. David Cameron came out shortly after that and said, well, Muslims in our country, most of them law-abiding, but they have to believe and have to accept British values. He was getting a lot of heat for that at the time, and he slowly has come along to being a little bit tougher in his rhetoric, but I mean, this has been brewing for a long time. I interviewed Peter Hitchens last week on my radio show, and he said, Laura, I come home to London, I don't even recognize London. It's not about color of skin. It's about a refusal, an adamant refusal on the part of so many new Londoners and new Brits from other parts of the world to refuse to accept the British tradition and British values. And that is setting up a clash of civilizations that, sadly, in areas like this lead to murder and death.
As you said, it was so shocking to see a British soldier just walking down the street and these two thugs going over and trying to behead him. And the guy that you see, there's the soldier with the 2-year-old son, has blood on his hands, and there was just somebody there with a camera, and he's saying, hey, Allah told me to do this, and I'm going to do it.
Bill, thank goodness that man, that terrorist, was videotaped.
Yeah,
because if he wasn't videotaped, we'd still have people on the left. Most of them on the left would say, well, we have to be very cautious about assigning motives here. He could have had a beef with the system, totally unrelated to his radical view of Islam.
That wiped out any kind of speculation and sympathy. Now, why do you think that doesn't happen here? American Muslims, they don't cause a lot of trouble, generally speaking. They've assimilated into our society.
They're much better assimilated into American society. We obviously still have problems, and we saw what happened with Major Hassan. The president alluded to that today at his speech in Texas, and obviously the Tsarnaev brothers, they obviously became Americanized in some ways, but then were prone to be radicalized.
The extremists, right.
But so we have that problem. But overwhelmingly, Muslims in the United States have not gone down that path.
Thank God.
Just have to make sure that we don't let our guard down and in any way become so politically correct and so worried about offending people that we don't call this out for what it is. And that's a concern.
I got one more question for Laura, so I'm going to give her 30 seconds more here.